Let's party freak. Hang on, I forgot. Actually, I can do that off of my phone. What am I doing? Let's party. Shut up. Shut up. Me. Earn drops. Get rewards by purchasing gift subscriptions to Tugniki's channel. Wait, what? Crunchyroll. Whoa! You can get 30 days of Crunchyroll? What the freaky dicky? They say my hunger's a problem. They tell me to curb my appetite. So I can't keep myself from trying a bite of every taste in sight. I need till I get sick. The slaughter's on. I'm not gonna feel you come undone and satisfied until I got you flayed alive. So grab a plate, have a taste. Still preying on the butcher's vein. Why would I ever go to waste? It's love that goes like leaving with such tenderness. All of you in time. Oh, your heart, chaotic work of art. My love, my knife. Grab a plate, have a taste. Still preying on the butcher's vein. I want to get within you. I want to never give you rigor mortis molded menu. Doesn't go that I won't waste a good meal. To snap the sinew, I want to get within you. I want to. I need to be your interest. Oh, your heart, chaotic work of art. You know, I completely forgot to do that I should have done, but now you can see me do it live. You know what? Wow, I have my really loud wallpaper, so okay. Wallpaper engine, right? I should probably bring this to another tab too, huh? Can I add it to this? Thank you. So I'm not switching around constantly. So wallpaper engine is a thing, right? But for some reason, I have all my computer sounds at like 50 because it is so unbelievably loud in headphones when you have it higher. So I have it set really low, and I have certain wallpapers on Wallpaper Engine are still loud as fuck, and I do turn the volume because like this. For those who don't know, there are volume settings on Wallpaper Engine, so I do turn them down, and yet they're still loud as fuck. Sometimes they reset too, which is really annoying. Oh yeah, and sorry, and so I have one that's Artorias from Dark Souls, and it has the Sif theme with the. And it destroys my eardrums. Absolutely fucking annihilates them. Wait, will it still capture the volume if it's... it looks like it still is, so fuck it. Um, right, I was gonna respond to the Gmail. So I got an email. Well, we've done something in emails. Gmail. Well, first, Helldivers 2 is on sale. Oh! Fucking The Witcher. The Witcher 3. I've never played it. I don't even really know what it's about. I just know everyone thinks it's good, and The Witcher 4 is coming out soon. Point is, on Steam, The Witcher 3 is $5 right now. So, of course, I had to buy it. I fucking bought that shit. I was like, sure. May or may not play it. We'll see. Anyway, I have something. Well, I don't have something in the works, but there is something happening. And download this real quick. Cool. Reply. Let me just reply to this email real quick. It's me. Hang on, hang on. I'm responding to an email real quick. It's important, and you guys will see why. Better than I could. I don't know if it's just me, if I'm just like weird about this stuff, but when I'm typing, one, I have to like type in full words. Very rarely do I, this might be like an autism thing, but very rarely do I use, uh, what are they called? Acronyms? Like even the word okay. Most of the time I type out OKAY because I'm just like, I don't know why, I have to. And then for the letter I, if it's lowercase and I accidentally type it lowercase, I have to go back and type it uppercase. For some reason it bothers me. Better than I could have ever imagined. TY, much love and respect. Respect. Okay, email sent. The reason that email was important is because, hang on, image, browse. I'm pretty sure it's in downloads. Is it this one? Why is he so? He's like the fucking wide Putin meme. Why am I so wide? This is getting made. Look at it. Can I make it semi-normal? There we go. It me. What the heck? Can you believe these are the same person standing side by side? Can you believe this? Hang on, let me. Why did it do it like this? Hang on. Fuck. God damn it. Okay, there. Can you believe these are the same person? Get a load of this guy. That's so cool though. Look at me. I'm so handsome. Again, I don't know why it's like this in the actual like file. I don't know. I don't know why it's Misa who draws the stuff. By the way, Misa is an artist I like a lot. Uh, but she always draws me so handsome. Tsurugi is not that handsome. Anyway, today's different. If you've noticed, there's no game on the screen. Shocking. We are just. Oh, why can't I click on my chat? Oh, is my chat broken? Hang on, I think my chat was broken. Go away. Okay, there we go. Chat's working again. For some reason, chat just wasn't. I could interact with it. Anyway, today's different. There's no game on the screen, and that is because you will now get a peek into what I do off stream with my life, and it's this. This is a if you couldn't tell, a D&D book that I am going to start that I have been reading through a little bit to try and play, to try to create a campaign to play it. Shut up. Sorry, I'm trying to find my other fucking tab. God damn it. Oh wait, I'm in it. I'm fucking stupid as shit, chat. Oh, you want to know what else I figured out? So remember how chat, when you guys try to redeem points now, it doesn't work anymore because the old website I used to redeem those things apparently doesn't exist anymore? Guess what happens when I push the number 7 on my mouse? And guess what happens when I push the number 6? Wait, not 6. 8? So now, I won't have to alt-tab and switch it manually. And also, I don't know if let me know chat if like the music's too loud, not loud enough, you can't hear it, it's too whatever. But buckle in, this is gonna be a boring one because it's literally just gonna be me reading and typing. But if chat has topics we can talk about, we can talk about stuff. Doom Eternal, not Doom Eternal. Fuck, Doom Dark Ages is out. You might be wondering, Mr. Schumann, why aren't you hopping on the wave? I don't know why I keep doing hand motions like you guys can see me. I did like a wave motion with my arm. You can't see it. Nah. One day, mayhaps. Uh, but yeah, you might be wondering why aren't you playing that? One, I don't want to drop $70 on it or 60 or however much it is. First off, second off, I know it's on Game Pass. I can buy Game Pass. I know I have to. But two, I'm already playing 2 games, right? We're in the middle of playing Tevi, and yes, Tevi will continue. I know I got really angry last time, but fuck, it will happen. And Kazan, which is also continuing. But you know what's a little disheartening? Today I was watching Wish Critical play uh the first Berserker Kazan. I didn't go to any parts that I haven't already seen, so I'm still completely blind to the game. But just to tell you, just to give you a slight look into how far we're into that game. His video on it is 4 hours of his like, cut up stream all smushed together until he beats the game. So even in his cut up parts, it's 4 hours long. And he's better at these games than I am. He's able to do these bosses in like 2 tries. The part I have gotten up to in Kazan is hour, an hour into the game, into his video. If you go an hour into the video, that's when he kills the spider. So, oh, you still got a lot to go. But don't worry, I'm gonna start finishing games on stream. I swear. Oh, you know what? I'm just popping off with things to talk about right now. Don't worry, that'll end soon. Night Rain's coming out soon. When does Night Rain come out again? The 28th? You said like exactly at the end of the month? Elden Ring. Night Rain. What are the balloons though? 29th. So even more. God damn. Sorry, it just says similar to games you have played, and it says Elden Ring. I have 337 hours in Elden Ring, and then Monster Hunter Rise. I have 277 hours. Can I sort my library by playtime? Is that a thing you can do? Here. You can't. It doesn't look like you can sort your. I wish I could. Get back collection. Advanced filtering. Single player, ready to play, installed, strategy, we're playing, gamepad, Steam Deck, intro tag, store tags. Okay, I can't. Forgive me for not doing what is as advertised. But right now, I'm just interested in what is my most played game. So let's see. Let's see here. Among Us with a solid 10 hours. Apex with a solid 65 hours. That can't be right. Someone has to have... I think my friend played on my account at some point. Ark Survival Evolved with a robust 15 minutes. Shout him out. Baldur's Gate 3 with a 15 hours. That's a lot. Most of that has to be in the menus because of me opening the game, waiting for my friends to play, and then we just don't play. Because I've actually never made it past like the first hour of that game. What else we got? BioShock Remastered. It took me 10 hours to beat BioShock. It's a lot of hours. 115 hours in BlazBlue Central Fiction. Yes, sir. That's what we like to see. I miss BlazBlue. That's my favorite fighting game. 201 hours in BTD6. We gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. What else we got here? I have 12 hours in Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Zombies. Yeah, I'm getting tactical text messages. My friend's playing the Force Unleashed right now. I've never played the Force Unleashed games. I know, it's a blasphemy. Let's see what else has a lot of playtime on it that's like worth talking. Okay, we're gonna get rid of Cookie Clicker because that's an idle game, right? Cookie Clicker is the type of game you want to have open, and so my 859.9 hours on Cookie Clicker don't count. Okay, 306 hours in Crush Crush, but that's like that's also like an idle game pretty much. 39 hours in Dark Souls 3. That's only on PC too. That doesn't count my PlayStation time. I need to play more Deep Rock. I need friends to play Deep Rock with. 713 hours in Destiny 2. Now that's heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking to see. $43 hours in Don't Starve Together? Holy shit. I did not know I played Don't Starve Together that long. And then 340.2 in Elden Ring. Deserved. Honestly, it should have more. Holy fuck. Should I replay Elden Ring on stream, chat? I was thinking about that today. I was like, fuck. Elden Ring is so good, though. What else we got that has a lot of hours? 35.8 hours on Gary's mod. Honestly, not that much. Not as much as I thought. Guilty Gear Strive, 47.4 hours. More than I thought. I only have 25 hours on Exard? That's crazy to me. 57 hours on the Master Chief Collection? Worth. This guy keeps hopping on and off this game, bruh. 25 hours on Hollow Cure. Why are you texting me? Stop hopping on and off that game. Pick a struggle. Okay. Wow, I have a lot more hours in Neptunian than I thought I did. 25 hours. That is a lot more than I thought. Meanwhile, I have some games in here that I haven't touched at all. Oh, he says the reason he keeps hopping on and off the game is because he's trying to download a mod to fix the FPS. 4.5 hours on Killing Floor 2, not counting my fucking PlayStation time. Oh my god, I played that so much on PlayStation. 31 hours on Left 4 Dead 2. Not bad. Let's see here. 121 hours on Lobotomy Corporation. Fuck. And I don't think I'm close to beating that game, man. That shit is insane. 67 hours in Marvel Rivals. That's a lot more than I thought I would have. Let's see. Here's the big hitters. Monster Hunter Rise, 277 hours. Monster Hunter Wilds, only 79. Not a lot. I don't know. Arc Tempered right now is out, and I should really fight it. And then 204 hours on Monster Hunter World. So that's, what, like almost 600 hours collectively of Monster Hunter on just PC, by the way. That is not counting my anything outside, which I've only played Rise on Switch. Because that's when it first came out on. 38 hours on Muse Dash. That's a lot more than I thought as well. I do enjoy Muse Dash, but I'm not good at it. 14 hours on Needy Streamer Overload. That's a lot more than I figured. Let's see. We can also check how much time I've wasted on League. Now that would be sad to see. Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know what? These don't have... Oh god, I have 44 hours on Overwatch 2? Fuck. I should just kill myself. I truly can't... 101 hours on Power World. Holy... Oh! The Terraria stuff is coming out! I forgot! What are they adding? Sorry, I fucking adore Terraria. And to see Terraria shit come into Power World is kind of crazy to me. New pals, new island. What? Fuck, they're not saying what. Damn it. They didn't say what is coming, but I saw the Eye of Cthulhu. And that is hype. I have 3 minutes on the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy. I do want to play those games though. 61 hours on Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. Fire. That's so fire. Oops. 10 minutes, 9 hours. Some of these games I've played for like actual minutes. I have 6 hours in Resident Evil 1 and I haven't even I don't even know how close I am to beating that shit. That shit looks like it's not even close to being beaten. The first one's just so like cock and ball torture. 30 hours on the Ruined King game and I haven't beat it. I should. I liked it. I don't think it's bad. Gotta let it out, gotta let it out. Gotta let it out, gotta let it out. This demon inside has a hold of me, clutching its power. I have 28 hours on Civ 5. Which is not a lot for a Civ player. I just don't have the attention span for Civ, bro. Like, I start it and I'm like, yeah. And then like halfway into it, I'm like, oh, this rage that's inside me. Shimmin' dots, I don't miss. I have 148 hours in Stardew Valley. And I've never made it past year 1. That should tell you my attention span for these games. What else we got? Only 28 hours on Tabletop Simulator. That's a lot less than I thought. Terraria, 255.5 hours. Low key? Not enough. Alright, hang on. We gotta take a pause. I forgot. I gotta open some Pokemon packs. 27 hours on Tevi. How close am I to beating Tevi? If achievements are anything to go by, not close. I'm not even halfway through. I'm at 39 out of 120 achievements. 32 hours on Titanfall 2. Fuck yeah. I love Titanfall, man. Fuck, I'm so sad that game died. 42 hours on Team Mod Loader. Sheesh. What else we got? Only 9 hours on Unchurned? I feel like I've played more Unchurned than that. 47 hours on fucking... Oh! I just got EX Decidueye. Let's fucking go. You know what I pulled? Okay, I'm gonna talk about card pulls for a second. Last night, I couldn't believe this. I almost screenshotted it. I pulled a basic art Mallow. So I was like, oh, whatever, Mallow. You know, she's cute, whatever. And then in the same pack, I pulled Mallow full art. I was like, oh, let's fucking go! So that's fucking awesome. That's pretty wonderful if you ask me. I like that. You will tan and light of my temple can put them. I'm still waiting for my Final Fantasy cards. They don't come out until what, July, June, July, something like that. July, I think. Maybe June. Anyway, I can't wait to open those cards, look at them, go, yo, this sounds strong, and never play them because none of my friends want to play Magic. And I know some of my friends have told me, why don't you just go to a card shop? Listen, I'm antisocial. What can I say? Even when it comes to other nerds, I'm like, yeah, okay. Titans, it's not over. 191 hours on Wallpaper Engine. To get closer, like a silver bullet piercing through. I throw myself into you. What did I say? Oh, okay. I'm important. Wizards 101. I played Wizards 101 for 6 hours. You know what? My friend's actually been playing Wizard 101 recently. How many hours does he have played total? What the fuck? My friend has 134 hours on Wizards 101. That's half my time I have playing in Terraria. Let's just let that sink in. Okay, anyway, now what we actually came here for. I don't know if chat... Let me know, again, let me know if anything's weird or wonky or whatnot. This is the first time I've done anything like this. If you guys want to see what I'm actually writing down, also let me know. I have it in a separate tab just so we won't have to be jumping tabs all the time. So, I guess we'll... Again, I don't think we're going to play this D&D campaign ever. So, if anyone on the internet who's ever watching this, wherever... If you want it, if you want whatever campaign I've written, go ahead. You can have it. I do not care because honestly, it is probably not getting played by my friend group anyway. Just knowing my friend group. So, just to give some context. Oh, actually, can I vent about something real quick? That is not me being mad that my friend group doesn't want to play D&D because people have beef with each other and it's all weird. Anyway, I have a bone to pick with Twitch and YouTube right now. I don't know whose fault it is, but I have a bone to pick with them. Because fucking I'm trying to export VODs, right? So on Twitch, for those of you who don't stream, when you go to your dashboard for your videos and you just are like, okay, what am I gonna do? Bang, do this, right? For Twitch, you can click a button and it'll automatically export your VOD to whatever YouTube channel you have your Twitch account linked to. So I was like, cool, that sounds awesome. Let me do that. So that's what I've been doing the whole time with the VOD channel. That's why I don't ever take the time and actually organize the VOD channel and everything's all fucking cattywampus over there. It's fucking the Wild West. Good luck. And I do gotta fix it up. I do gotta clean it up. Maybe one day I will. But for some reason, my YouTube account got unlinked, and I don't know why. I was like, okay, that's weird. So then I tried to relink it, and then it kept saying there's no YouTube channel associated with this email. So I was like, what the fuck? Did my YouTube channel get deleted? No. The answer is no. It's still there. But I tried. I was like, what is happening? I was doing a whole bunch of shit and it was annoying, and it just wouldn't work. Because, I don't want to have to physically download all of them and then upload them, because that just takes way longer than just pushing a button and then having it go, And then I finally managed to be able to sync them, and I was like, oh, thank God, I finally got these things synced. Let's fucking go. And then the biggest bullshittery happened. I hit export and I was like, cool, it's gonna export. 2 hours later, I get an email from Twitch saying export failed, and it doesn't know why. Like, that's fucking awesome, by the like, why does technology have to be so fucking complicated? Why does it feel like we reached a point in like the early 2010s where like technology was super streamlined and everything was super easy, and then after like 2015, everything just started to become fucking jumping through hoops with every goddamn technological advance we make? Like, what the fuck? Why is it do I gotta download a fucking app to track my fucking packages? Why can't they just be like, okay, here's my tracking number, let me type this into Google, and there it goes? No, it's like, oh, we're not going to show you a tracking number, you have to have this app, and then give them your order number, and then they'll chat. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. And then Clash of Clans, I already vented about this before. For some reason, it took me 2 months for my deletion request for my Clash of Clans account to come through. Why the fuck would it ever take 2 months to delete an account on anything? What is this? The fuck? Like, what? Why? What possible reason? Like, do I really need a month for me to go, you know what? Maybe I don't want to delete my Clash of Clans account. Maybe I don't. Honestly, at that point, out of spite, I was like, fuck you, I'm gonna stick with this. All my friends were like, no, dude, just hop on, bro, just hop on. I was like, no. Fuck Clash of Clans, fuck Supercell. I am sticking to this just because they made it 30 fucking days just to make sure, just for them to be like, are you sure? And then another month to actually delete it. And then, oh my God, when I was trying to delete it, you have to go through I have already answered it. You have to go through a fucking menu, and it's hidden. The delete button's fucking hidden. And then you have to talk to a goddamn fucking AI to delete your shit. It's like, why can't they just press delete and have it be deleted? Why do I have to talk to a fucking AI? Back to D&D. Fuck. Anyway. So, this campaign, just to bring it back to D&D, this is a book I have I'm a little worried about this stream, because I don't know if I'm allowed to share the book like this. I don't see why not. But, who knows? I might get in trouble for this. We'll find out. I mean, I'm definitely gonna get in trouble for the music, so this VOD's staying away. Unfortunately, but this is I need music to vibe, and I was like, well, if I'm vibing to music, I feel like you guys also deserve to vibe to my music, because there's probably gonna be long periods where I'm just silent because I'm sitting there thinking, whatever. This is done by a D&D group that I fucking love watching. I have grown so addicted to watching these guys. They're called Legends of Adventures. Please go watch them if you just have ever had the passing thought of, oh, D&D's slightly interesting. Go watch them. They are fucking great. They are amazing at what they do. And eventually, they made this, which is called The Crooked Moon. It is what they call a folk horror campaign. So it's all spooky and shit. It has a bunch of custom races. I've already read through those guys. They seem cool. A bunch. I think like one new subclass for every class, and then some of them have multiple subclasses. Like I think the druid has 2 new subclasses, which is like biased. Can I just say? So right now, all I'm doing is this is just prologue stuff. This right here is all just like explaining the land. And so I'm writing it down in notes, in just like important parts in notes, so that because what really elevates, in my opinion, what really elevates D&D campaign is when the players work with their DMs to create characters. Because it helps characters feel more fleshed out, and it helps DMs be like, alright, now I know the direction this character's heading for them to have their own arcs. And it helps them feel more connected to the world. I always try to, whenever I DM, I always try to ask my players to like, hey, I always give them a brief overview of the world. I'm like, hey, here's the world and here's what's happening in it. Here's the common past here's the common past of the world that everyone would know. Literally everyone would know this information. And then once I read your characters, once you like have your races and class picked, and like a general idea of your background, then I will ask you, or then I'll give you specifics, like information that only your people or that only you would be privy to because of this thing in your background. And then we use those elements and combine them all in a melting pot to make a character. I think it helps a lot in both engagement and liking, like being engaged with the D&D campaign, and also with the DM side of understanding what, like, because character arcs are important for players, right? And to help them feel more engaged, it's nice to bring stuff from their story in, even if it's unrelated to the campaign. It helps the DM out to go, okay, how do I relate this to the campaign? I'm gonna take a swig of water real quick because it is 89 degrees in my room. Yeah, Southern California is disgusting right now. At 10 a.m., my computer said it was 91 degrees outside. My work computer said it was 91 degrees outside. So that's gross. Anyway, this is a full core campaign, and we're just going through the regions as of right now. And I might be reading. I haven't decided if I'm gonna read it out loud or not. I guess it really depends if Chad gets annoyed at me reading it. But so far, it is pretty interesting. We have... I can see a lot of potential with just the... I've only been through 3 regions so far. And is there a word count on Google Docs? Can I see that somewhere? How do I see a word count? There's no word count. Fuck. But I already have a bunch written down in just going through 3 areas. So this is the 4th. It's called Chernobos. I also enjoy that they provide like the phonetic pronunciations of them. It's nice. Fire winds howl above Chernobos and cast a strange reddish glow across its scorched wasteland and deserts dotted with ashen skeletal remains. See, here's the problem. I ended my last note-taking session of this campaign with just fiery winds. So, fiery winds... probably just gonna put scorched... wastelands... and... deserts... dotted with... skeletons. It's lands of extremes, blistering heat, relentless drought, and violent eruptions and earthquakes, all laced with the promise of wealth beyond one's wildest dreams. Okay, cool. That's interesting. So really hot, No water. Volcanoes and shaky earth. This also gives you a peek into my brain about how my brain works when it processes information. Beneath fiendish volcanic peaks that belch forth ash and the ashborn that thrive in this providence. Rich veins of gold and even more valuable hell iron ore draws treasure hunters, opportunists, and truly desperate from far off to seek their destiny here. Rich in gold and hell iron. Fuck. There's no law in... Okay, no law. Cool. Save for what its people get away with or enforce, whether it be through their might, guile, or luck. If all of this wasn't enough, every inch of the providence is tethered to the otherworldly realms of the devil, so sin itself suffuses the land, air, animals, and people of this harsh land with one... Well, okay, with one clear ruling vice, greed. The sin of greed reigns here. No matter how the dice fall, Chernobos is one hell of a place to make one's fortune. Hell iron. Hell iron is a fiendish metal, pitch black and streaked with red, perfectly suited for the construction of devilish machinery that can outperform entire factories. Owned by the largest captains of the industry. Okay, we're learning more about hell iron. Hell iron. Pitch black metal streak with red. Can create constructs that outperform factories. Okay, I apparently spelled constructs so wrong. Right there. What about constructs? Whatever. I'll fix it later. We'll fix it in post. When enormous deposits of hell iron were discovered deep within the volcanic landscape of Chernobos, there was an overnight population explosion that dwarfed the various gold rushes that the province had experienced years beforehand. Okay. Hell iron boomed the population. Enterprising folk from all over flocked to Chernobos to join the Ashenborn and other species in the province, and everyone profited. I don't know why it's scrolling so unbelievably slow, but it just is. And to be fair, I'm on page 25 of 638. So, it's gonna take a long time. Treasures hell iron mines dot the hills, mountains, ridges, and volcanoes of the province with the largest concentration bored throughout the Hellfire spewing Sulphur Mountain. Many mines dot the mountain dot hills, mountains, and ridges. Oh, not just volcanoes too. I missed that part. Ridges and volcanoes. With the largest concentration bored throughout the Hellfire spewing Sulphur Mountain. The most mines are located at the Sulphur Mountain. The constant threat of cave-ins, hellfire eruptions, and the unearthing of malevolent fiends deters many from stepping into a mine. Yet still they flock, for the fiendish metal is more valuable than gold, and coins and bars made from it are used as currency all across Chernobos. Oh, that's important to know. Chernobos currency is made from hell iron. That's an important detail. The Devil Rail. Built and operated by the Midas Railroad Company, the Devil Rail is an enormous train constructed from hell iron, plated in gold and fueled by hellfire. Ooh. Sick ass hell train made from hell iron. Plated in gold and fueled by hellfire. It currently provides passage across the treacherous landscape of Chernobos. Okay, hang on. We're gonna switch up the music. First, I think first. Ooh. Alright, fine. We'll do this. Because I love Meat Hook. There's a drop point in this song that is just so unbelievably fucking good. Wait for it. That is so good. Okay. But no, I wanted these songs. There are 3 songs right now that I have playing on fucking repeat. Can I just say that? Because goddamn, I love these songs so much. Okay. Back to my dock. Intended to eventually serve as a direct competitor to the Ghostlight Express, it currently provides passage across the treacherous landscape of Chernobos on rails of fire and brimstone for a hefty fee of gold or hell iron, emerging from beneath the earth to collect its passengers from wherever they desire at a predetermined time. Emerges from the earth to pick up passengers. Costs a pretty penny. The taste of your lips left me mortified. This relatively new service allows for once impossible travel throughout the Providence in comfort and style. But, like everything in Chernobos, it is fraught with risk. Those who board without a ticket, miss the train at the exact time of departure, or request an emergency spiriting from a life-threatening situation forfeit their soul, which is fed into the firebox to fuel the death. Ooh, that's cool. If you board without a ticket, miss the train, or use it as a get out of jail free card, you lose your soul. Old Mr. Scratch. A hulking devil with red skin, golden eyes, a black mustache, and curved horns. Old Mr. Scratch maintains a cool and charming disposition despite his imposing stature, which contrasts drastically with the Ashboard, who comprise the majority of the people he rules over. However, this devil takes the decrees of the Crescent Court as mere suggestions and strives to keep his province lawless, where destiny is determined with free will and the flip of a coin. Ooh. Okay. Big Demon Man. What game? D&D? D&D does eat up time. There's a joke, okay? One of my favorite... Okay, I haven't watched... Oh, not D&D? Oh. I'm still going to talk about the joke. There was a very popular Netflix show called... What's it called? What was it called? I can't even fucking remember what it's called. Stranger Things. It was called Stranger Things. My favorite part of the entire series, I've only seen the first 2 seasons, by the way, but my favorite part is like in the first episode when all the little boys are playing D&D together, like, and one of the moms knocks on their door, And he goes to open it. It's like, okay, it's time for you guys to start wrapping up. He's like, what? But we only been playing for 8 hours. And she's like, 8 hours? And he's like, oh, all right, fine, we'll start wrapping up. Like, it's so accurate. It is so unbelievably accurate. Uh, like, I really need to finish editing. I want, see, here's the thing. Maybe, oh, fuck, but I still need them to give me, okay. I have, I'm just gonna take the fucking cat out of the bag. I have multiple recordings of my friends and I playing D&D together. Their podcast style, but I want to edit them to add visuals to it. So I want to add like I want to help like and maybe add sound effects and a backing music track just to help, you know, the mood of the entire thing so that you're not just staring at a blank black screen with my friends and I talking like goobers. The problem is, one, I need to get artwork of my friends' characters, but they every time I ask them to send descriptions, they never fucking do. And two, I don't even know if that campaign's gonna continue. We were doing a Legends of Runeterra, a League of Legends campaign, where it's set in, because if you don't know if League of Legends like lore, it is really cool. The game sucks, but there's a reason Arcane was so good, and that's because the world of League is fucking fantastic. So they were going through that, right? And it was like full open world. They could do literally whatever they wanted. I was like, you guys want to release Viego and start the fucking Ruination? You can do that. You want to fucking go fight in Draven's gladiatorial combat pit? You can go and do that. You want to start another war between Ionia and fucking Noxus? You can do that. You want to fucking start a mage revolution in fucking Demacia? Go ahead. So that's what it was. It was complete open world, and I was very excited for it. And the part they're in right now, I gave them a lot of mini plot hooks to try to sink their teeth into, just to get the ball rolling, to see what they wanted to, like what would stick and what wouldn't stick, and what they wanted to do and what they didn't want to do, stuff like that, just to probe them. But like a dumbass, so they started, and I asked them, I was like, hey, where do you guys want to start in Runeterra? Where is your guys' ideal starting point? Everyone gave me a different answer. So I ended up spinning a wheel, and it started in Noxus. And I was like, okay, we are starting in Noxus. Cool. And I was like, how are they going to start in Noxus? And I was like, well, I feel like the easiest way is they go into Draven's combat pit. And I was like, cool, Draven's combat pit. That's going to be fun. They're going to immediately get the League of Legends champion cameo in there, and then they'll be it. And the first campaign, the first session will start off with some fun combat, either PvP or they decide not to fight each other, and instead Draven goes, all right, fine, and they fight some miscellaneous stuff, right? See, here's the thing with D&D: as much as you try to predict what your players will do, you never truly can. For some reason, they are level 1, chat. They are level 1, and for some reason, I told them this too before the campaign started. I said, just to let you guys know, the I'm treating every champion in League of Legends exists during this campaign, and I'm treating them all as level 20 characters. So do with that what you will, okay? And the campaign was gonna go for as long as they wanted to play, from levels 1 to however high they got up to, capping at 20, obviously. So I was in it for the long haul. I was ready to be playing this shit. They immediately decided to attack Draven, which, he didn't take too lightly. So in our first session, realistically, I should have killed my player that attacked Draven because he's a level 20 character. But I decided I wouldn't be mean, so he's not dead. but his arm was cleaved off. So now he only has one arm. And it's funny because his character was a changeling, and if you don't know what that is in D&D, it's basically people who can change into other people, right? They can, and so now they were a changeling, but if they can't like regrow their arm, so even if they try to change into someone to just be like, I'm this person now, to try to sneak into this place, you only have one arm. Anyway, so he was dead immediately, and because of that, Draven decided to bring out the fight I had planned for them. But except there was only okay. First off, there were only two people. I only had two players, so that should tell you how interested my friends are in D&D at this point in time. I only had two players, and so now they had to do this fight meant for two people with one person. And for some reason, my friend could just couldn't roll above a fucking 10 to save his goddamn life, and I rolled a nat 20. I was like, so they died. Well, they went down, but it's a gladiator pit, and if you know anything about historically about gladiators, is that gladiators never actually were killed outright because it's very expensive to maintain gladiators. It was more of a sport. It's more like how we treat football players in this day and age, right? It's just because a football player loses a game doesn't mean what the fuck. Why is it? Oh, I know why it's playing this. Why is it what? Okay, just to give you I don't know how well you can hear the music because I lowered it a lot in terms of what I see on OBS. So I don't know how loud it is compared to me. But just in case you can, I want you to know that I clicked on a YouTube mix, right? Because YouTube has like auto-generated playlist called Mix. I clicked on a YouTube mix called Music of Japan, and it gave me Mr. Rizside. I did not realize this was Music of Japan. So we're gonna skip that. Yeah, like Mr. Brightside. The song by, oh my god, what the fuck is that band called? It's gonna bug me so goddamn much that I don't know that band's name. It's the guy whose lead singer kind of looks like MatPat. What the fuck is that band called? Fuck, it's gonna bother me so much. Now I gotta look it up. Mr. Writes The Killers. Oh my god, The Killers. That's who they're fucking are. So yeah, let me know if I need to like up the music if you can't hear it, or if you don't care, that's fine too. Anyway, back to my friends being probably some of the worst D&D players I have ever known. Who's crazy. I tried so hard to do everything I could for them that wasn't outright railroading them, I still wanted them to feel like they had autonomy without being like, all right, you guys are being dumb. Anyway, so yeah, so they failed that encounter and they got bailed out. So then I had to immediately I had to throw out everything I had originally planned and go, fuck, well, where do I go from here? They both just got their asses beat. And how can I explain the way they got bailed out? So eventually, they don't know this part, but they got bailed. So if any of my players are watching, and if we are going to keep playing, cover your ears. If not, go ahead and listen. But they got bailed out by a member of the Black Rose, which if you don't know the Black Rose, it's basically the shadow government of Noxus. And this Black Rose member wants to raise in the ranks, right? So he's like, hey, here's these two goobers that will work for their freedom. I don't have to pay them anything. They're basically slaves. That sounds awesome. Even if they die, no one's gonna miss them. So even if they get caught doing what I want them to do, or they die, I can wipe my hands of the situation and be like, I don't know who these guys are. Right? Perfect. They end up accepting the deal from the Black Rose member, which, you know, they had little choice, which is fine. I gave them little choice. And because one of my friends is playing a changeling, and part of the Black Rose's whole thing is like espionage, he was very interested in the abilities a changeling can offer in terms of that, and was offering, hey, you can join my ranks. Now here's the thing. My players, I think they asked a couple of questions, but I think a couple of them I was like, it's on a need to know basis, you don't need to know. And I guess that's my fault for saying that, because I guess it discouraged them from asking other questions. But they didn't ask his name. They didn't ask, I think they asked who he worked for, but he didn't tell them. And they didn't even ask what their goal was. I was like, okay, you know what? I gave them like they didn't, okay, they didn't ask what their goal was, so I had to tell them, and before accepting the deal. And they didn't even they didn't go like, hey, you have any leads, any resources you can give us, anything like that. No, they didn't ask any of that. So, you know, me as a member of the Black Rose, being in character, I'm thinking, okay, these guys don't need any equipment, they don't need any gold, they didn't need anything like that. They're good to go. Cool. And again, at the end of the day, if they don't succeed, it's no skin off his back. So, needless to say, they had struggled for a long time. They were asked to investigate Vladimir's blood cult, which, if you don't know Vladimir League of Legends, he's a hemomancer, which means he has blood magic. And at least in Legends of Runeterra, the card game that expands off the League of Legends universe, which is great. I love that game, but I don't have anyone to play with. They expand more about the impact Vladimir has, and he kind of has a cult following, and blood is kind of like a drug to them. Like they pretty much get like drunk and high off the blood. So the Black Rose is having issues dealing with Vladimir's blood cult, and they can't deal with it outright because Vladimir, you know, has existed for thousands of years and has a lot of influence in Noxus, and it will cause a whole bunch of shit. So they're trying to deal with it in a more nuanced way. And that's where the two goobers come in. I forget their characters' names. I really do. It's been a long time since we played that campaign. I think it's been 4 months, maybe. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe 2 or 3. But still, it's a long time. I do want to play it more. But those two, anyway. So they spend a lot of time floundering around, not really doing much of anything. I try to seed out little clues here and there that they can just pick up on. They don't. Instead, they try to go to a random NPC that I had to make up on the fucking spot because of course. And to buy new clothes, but they don't have any money, and it was so bad. And they ended up getting very attached to this one old man seamstress I made. What's a male version of a seamstress? Anyway. Taylor? Taylor. An old man Taylor that fucking, you know, I had to make him on the fucking fly. They ended up growing very attached to him. Eventually, I had to make the blood cult seek them out because they were so not stealthy about it and so not good at it that, of course, the blood cult would pick up hints here and there of like, oh, someone's trying to sniff about our business and failing horribly. So one of them went out to go like get a good like read on the guys, and eventually they did find a clue. They found out that certain Noxian storehouses have been getting weird shipments that haven't been on the manifest, and every time that has happened, every time they've gotten an extra box, I was trying to figure out how to word it. Every time they got an extra shipment that wasn't on the manifest, every storehouse that got that ended up being burned down that night. So, of course, the gang decided to investigate. They ended up finding one of the one night encountering one of the fires and a couple of members of the blood cult that ended up getting away. Well, one no, one they caught. No, no, no. One they killed, one they caught, I believe, is what happened. They managed to find out that the shipments, while looking like regular shipments, have secret compartments in the containers that house vials of blood. What type of blood or why, they never learned. They ended up tying up the guy, and they try to question him. He's not really budging. One of the players decides to try to be intimidating, and he cuts this guy's finger off. Now, they know that they're dealing with a blood cult that has blood magic. At this point, they know. They cut his finger off, so he bleeds everywhere. So, of course, he uses the blood to free himself from the rope and makes a mad dash for it. They almost end up catching him, but then for seemingly some unknown reasons, his head gets popped and it explodes and he dies. So there goes their lead. They try to investigate some more. They go to an abandoned. They get seduced by a random woman in the middle of the night into a random manor and almost get eaten alive by spiders. And just to peel back the veil a little bit, that was one of the plot hooks I had in there originally. They were like, we're just gonna explore at night. So I was like, all right, well, they've. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, they haven't found any clues, so I don't think it would be like. I had to come up with like what they were going to do because they were still in like the investigating phase. So I was like, there's no real clues you can get at night because the storehouse is, one, the storehouse that they did go to wasn't getting, like that night that they got trapped by spiders. All this is organized. It's organized crime. So they have like times and drops and stuff like that. So that just was one of the nights that didn't happen. And two, at that point in time, I feel like even if I did just go, oh, hey, you can see the plumes of a fire, they probably wouldn't have cared. They would have been like, that probably has nothing to do with the blood cult. So I didn't end up doing it. But the they almost died to spiders. And just to let you know, the original plot hook for that is a character called Elise, and in her lore, Elise devotes herself to a spider demon god to remain young and pretty forever. So she lives in Noxus and she lures men in. She seduces them to then feed to her spiders and sacrifice to the spider god. So one of the plot hooks was that and having to deal with the whole spider cult as well. A lot of cults in Noxus. And that may or may not have led them to the Ruin Isles because that's actually where the spider god like lives, I guess. There's something with Elise in the Ruined Isles that I can't remember. Point is, it would have eventually led them there. And then from there, it probably would have spiraled into them just either trying to survive and get off the Ruined Isles or accidentally starting the ruination. So, anyway, uh, yeah, they have evidence of this blood vial, right? But they don't know what it's for and what to do. So they're like, I don't know. They're like, we don't know what to do with this. Eventually, they get confronted by what they believe is to be a pretty decently high ranking member of the blood cult, and they end up losing their evidence because, like, I don't know why, brazenly, one of my players decides to like, hey, we have evidence on you. Why don't you let us? Why don't you tell us what you know about this? For some reason, I believe that's how it went down. And so I'm sitting here like, one, no, he's not gonna tell you, and two, he has blood magic. He's just gonna start making the vial leak the evidence. And for some reason, instead of just deciding to stick his thumb on top of the vial to like solidify the cork's position and keep it tamped down so that the blood has nowhere to go, he decides to try to put it on his chest. because he has one arm. He decides to just try to stick it on his chest, so it just leaks out all over his clothes. So they lose that. They end up believing that the old man NPC that they have grown attached to is gonna die. So they go back to him, and they decide we're gonna defend this man with our life. And then the changeling decides to use his powers right in front of this old man and changes into him, and the old man has a heart attack and dies from shock. And and then they move on. They leave his dead corpse in the middle of his shop and move on. Eventually, we end up convincing one of our friends to join. So he joins up. His character is really interesting. I was so excited to see him. So to give you the characters, we had one guy that was a Demacian-born noble that was out venturing the world. We had one that was a changeling from Ionia who was turned into a changeling by the land itself as punishment for being a part of Zed's shadow ninja sect. And then we had our third character, which was my personal favorite, which was he was already an explorer. He was a treasure hunter who accidentally stumbled upon a decayed world rune. Why is my internet dying? My internet's apparently dying. Are we okay, chat? Are we good? I don't think we're good. Hang on. I gotta check on my phone. Because for some reason we are lagging. I think it's just my internet. Am I lagging, chat? Are we lagging? I guess we're not lagging. Okay, cool. I thought we were lagging. Well, because it said down at the bottom that we were lagging. But I guess we're good. Anyway, maybe the music is low, but that's it. Alright, we can turn the music up just a bit. Oh, wait, I gotta up it on OBS. How's that? Is that better? Back to yapping about... Okay, well that's fine. Even if the video itself was laggy, as long as the audio's fine. Because honestly, there's not much happening in the video. But back to talking about the D&D campaign that probably won't continue. This new character, yeah, he had a decayed world rune. No problem, chat. Anything for you. But if you don't know what a world rune is in League of Legends, just know insanely important. They are items that can cause absolute cataclysmic earth-shattering events. So I gave my players a decayed version of it, and as they progressed through and he didn't know what it was. He just knew it was a cool rock that has magic. Okay, we're lagging again. Uh, point is, as the campaign would progress and they would level up, so too would the world rune. It would grow in strength until eventually they either learned it was a world rune or others learned it was a world rune, and then that would have been a whole plot point. It would have been cool. So he came into the group. As long as audio's fine, that's all I care about. It says my internet is fucking shitting the bed. As long as audio's fine, that's all we care about. But so that was just all camp. That was just all our first session. Second session, we bring in our new player. He gets introduced. They touch base again with the person who gave him their job. They do decide to ask him more questions this time. Wow, my internet just shit the bed. It says I'm at 800 kilobytes per second. What the fuck? Who's eating up all the internet? Anyway, uh, and god damn, 1,000 kilobytes? Is it just that like my PC's hot? No, because it was lagging on my phone too. Whatever. I'm trying to remember what happened in our second session. I believe our second session, they ended up going to Vladimir's manor, figuring out he wasn't around. They, at first, I believe they tried to disguise themselves. And then I think I made them roll a stealth check and it went. Okay, just to let you know, for some reason, the 2, 3. I think we had to play 2 or 3 sessions. The 2 or 3 sessions of that campaign we played, the players rolled actually fucking horrendously. I was astounded by how horrible they were rolling. It was crazy. But the important bit of the most recent session we had is they got mollywopped in a fight because once again they were not rolling well. And you know, it's level ones, so they were it was a boss fight. Sorry, I dropped my pen. And it was a boss fight, and this boss fight ended up being 4 enemies. Not very high HP values, mind you. It's just they all were doing terrible at rolling. And also the creatures I made, because all of this is homebrew. Literally all of it. I've written every creature from scratch. And like all the hemomancy spells and stuff that they use are also all from scratch and stuff. The only pluses that the minions had, the 3 little minions, maybe 4, it might have been 4 minions, was, and I think they all had like, I think the most HP the minions had was like 6 HP. The They had no bonuses to any of their stats, but when they were attacking against a wounded target, they would get +1 to attack and damage. Because, you know, they're like blood fiends and stuff. So I was like, yeah. Uh, it didn't go well for them. They got fucked up, and we haven't played a session since. I once again would love to play another session of that, but they don't seem very interested. And I don't know about doing D&D. I know one friend is probably the most interested. I have 2 friends that are very interested, but they're beefing with each other right now. So I gotta see. I gotta talk to them and see if they're chill enough to play some D&D. Even if we don't get our third guy back, it's fine. I just want to play some D&D, man. Whether I'm a player or a DM at this point. Before, I used to be the perma DM in our group. I DM'd one time for our friend group, and from then on, I was pretty much perma DM. I think my friends have only DM'd one time each, and then I've been DM for all the others. We've played a few different campaigns with me as DM. First, I tried to learn Curse of Strahd. I have the Curse of Strahd book actually sitting on my fucking shelf. And then I figured, nah, we're all pretty murder hobo-y, so Curse of Strahd I think is a little too slow paced. So then I started to do a bunch of homebrew stuff. We had one that was based on another D&D podcast I watched at the time. I might be able to start that one up again, but I don't know if we'd be able. I don't know if they. I got complaints that one was too hard because I started them I think at level 2 or 3, and I started throwing a bunch of stuff at them. well, not a bunch, right? It was still like the normal stuff. It was slightly above what like I would normally throw that level of character, but only because there were a bunch of them. I think we had 5 players, and I really like encouraging out of the box thinking. Like I don't want people to just go, okay, I go up and whack them, or okay, I shoot this guy. I want them to come up with strategies and stuff like that, and like, you know, I guess I'm playing these creatures also with having strategies in mind. Like it depends on the intelligence of the creatures. So if they're fighting like humanoid creatures, like for their first fight, they're fighting humans. So I'm like, here's the strats they would use, right? Like I'm a guy who is attacking this airship, who's raiding this airship with his team. So of course they should have good synergy and, you know, at least some semblance of, oh, this guy casted a spell. Let me try to hit this guy first, right? Those guys, those guys that I thought they would have a problem with, they fucking breezed by easily. I was surprised. I was like, wow, I can't believe they fucking cleared those guys so fast. And I was like, they're gonna kill this next thing. The next thing they fought was this like construct, this wooden metal creature that was like a kind of like a metallic panther. That one fucked them up. I actually, that one did more damage than I thought it would. I was mostly because it had an AoE move. That was a saving throw. DM tip: if you are having problems with hitting your players because of their AC, throw some AoEs at them, bro. They can't roll high forever. Yeah, that AoE fucked up the Paladin with, I think our Paladin had a 19 armor class, or 18, 19 armor class, somewhere on there. But I got we played 2 sessions of that. I got some complaints that it was too hard. And I was like, And then this was also during a time of D&D where I was like, fuck, I really want to be a player. But I was like, okay. So we didn't finish that. Maybe listen to this one. Next. The next campaign I DM'd, what was in the next one? I think the next, I did DM Curse of Strahd. I actually did DM Curse of Strahd. It was altered, but I did DM Curse of Strahd. One session. We did one session because my friend, he had a bunch of streamer friends. He was like, hey, they want to play D&D on stream, but they don't have a DM. You want to help them out? I was like, I'm down to play some D&D. So we started running Curse of Strahd. We did one session of Curse of Strahd, and it was pretty terrible. It was like 4 new players and 1 veteran. I invited my friend as a veteran to just help him out. And so I guess I should have been easier on them if it was 4 new players. And also, but here's the thing. I already had the first session of the Curse of Strahd written before I learned they were new players. And I was like, fuck. Do I rewrite the whole thing? I was too lazy to rewrite the whole thing. And 2, their party balance was fucking horrible. Oh my god. It was terrible. I was like, oh no. Terrible party balance? That's so sad. Of course, you don't need perfect party balance in a D&D session, but, you know, they had almost no ranged attacks against a bunch of ranged demons that were attacking them. So, yikes. Anyway, I DM'd that. And then I think we did a couple of goofy ones. Oh, I DM'd one all the way back in high school, where most of it was just off the top of my fucking head. Where the plot hook was they were asked by a kingdom to go investigate these strange seismic happenstance. So they got the big bugs were burrowing in like a farm village, and it was causing a lot of issues for their crops. So they got asked by a kingdom, "Hey, can you go help this farming village with their bug problem?" They were like, "Okay." And that's eventually that spiraled into them finding a whole subterranean civilization. We played, I think, 3 sessions of that, and that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with that. And the reason we stopped playing was because COVID. COVID happened. Uh, and then I started the Ruination campaign, which is League of Legends, and I was like, I'm gonna stop. I was like, with how you guys play D&D, I'm gonna stop writing out like, okay, they're gonna go to this area and then this area and then this area. No, we're not doing that anymore. You guys are too fucking chaotic for me to try to contain within a story. So it's like, it's gonna be the Ruination plotline, but you guys are gonna fucking have full autonomy to do whatever. But then it ended up feeling a little too railroady for my liking, so we scrapped that, and that's why we're doing the open world Runeterra thing. Uh, but that's all I've DM'd. It's not we I have never been a part of a D&D campaign that has actually completed their campaign. It always ends up going off the fucking rails. When I first started D&D, it was with my friend's dad DMing. We actually it was at a comic book shop. My sorry that we're not actually working on D&D stuff and I'm just yapping, but my first D&D experience was Curse of Strahd. Some high schooler. This was back when I was in middle school. I think just starting high school. Some like kid that was probably 17 or 16, somewhere around there, 19 maybe at the time, was like DMing Curse of Strahd for us, but he didn't know the module. So we made characters and all that, and we played through it a little bit. We played the first session, and then we came for the next one, and we had a completely different DM. We had this guy, amazing guy. His name was Trevor. Fucking loved that guy. He actually made Dean. He asked us. He was like, okay, so great DM. He was like, so what's your D? He was like, so what's your D experience? Blah blah. And no, all of us except for our friend's dad was like, yeah, we're all new. This is all our first D&D campaign. So he was like, okay. And he was like, hey, do you guys mind if we invite this kid? He's been kicked out of every group he's been with, and so if you don't want to play with him, that's completely understandable. And we were like, yeah, just bring him on. Who cares? Well, that's fine, whatever. And I understand why he was kicked out. He was a little obnoxious and, didn't really like tried to play D&D by his own rule set. But, we tried to be good sports about it and we ended up messing with him a bunch of the time. That was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, those sessions. There's two moments that I probably will never forget. One was we decided to all go inside of a house, and the kid that got kicked out of his D&D groups decided he was like, no, I don't want to. I'm not doing it, and you guys can't make me. We were like, all right, well, we're all gonna go inside, so I guess you have fun out here. So we just left him. And he started getting attacked by werewolves outside, and we were getting attacked by skeletons inside. So we were like, we didn't really understand the concept of metagaming yet, so we were trying to like find out ways so that we could know what's happening outside, so we could also help him out. And then like Trevor would explain it to us. He's like, hey, you don't know that. That's metagaming because that's knowledge you have as a person. Your characters wouldn't know. And I was like, and like one of my friends asked, he's like, oh, are there any windows in the room we're in? And then Trevor was like, no, unfortunately there are no windows. And I had my sunglasses on my head, like just on top of my like on my hair, just perched up because we were indoors. And as I was saying this line, they fell off my head and onto my nose, so like I was actually wearing them. As I was saying it, it was so crazy that happened. I was like, we could make a window, and then like the glasses came down. It was like boom, and everyone was like, oh my god. another funny part was we were running low on time, and so our DM Trevor, he was like, "We're running out of time. Instead of rolling an initiative, we're just gonna go this way." And he like tries to sweep his arm about like the motion we're gonna go across the table, and he ends up sweeping everything on his side of the DM board, including the DM board, off his fucking desk. It was great. And then I both gained and lost an inspiration point in the matter of 10 seconds. My friend and I were like the DM. We were all packing up, getting ready to go. My friend and I were just making jokes at each other, and I was like, and we were like, "What's a pirate's favorite letter?" And I was like, "Hey, Jorge, what's a pirate's favorite letter?" He was like, "What?" And I'm like, "You think it'd be R, but it's the C they love." And then my friend Jorge's like, "No, matey, it's you." And then our DM thought that was so funny. He's like, "You know what? You guys got a point of inspiration." I was like, "Hell yeah!" And then I was like, "Great, Trevor, how about this one?" And I was like, "How do you make holy water?" And he was like, "How?" And I was like, "You boil the hell out of it." And he was like, "You know what? You could lose that inspiration point." And I was like, "Oh." And then eventually Trevor had like issues with the comic book store we were playing at. And so he stopped DMing for us, and we were like, "Oh, that's fine, Trevor. We hope you move on to bigger and better things." I hope that guy's doing great, by the way. Fucking fantastic guy. The next DM we had was actually... Was it our friend's dad? I think... Or was that... Yes. It was our friend's dad. What the heck? This is not pull my devil trigger, bruh. The fuck was that? Anyway, the second ever D&D campaign I played was our friend's dad's campaign. That one just went off the rails so fast. So it started with us being captured, and we were going to be taken to the Underdark and stuff, and it was going to be a whole Underdark campaign. I remember at some point I got polymorph. I was a wizard, and I polymorphed, and there was like a mirror image of myself, and it pulled me into the mirror, and I had to fight my mirror version, and then it ended up polymorphing me into a little pig. And then when we killed it, it didn't end, which it should have if you know how concentration works. It should have ended, but I stayed a pig, and so one of our guys we were playing with, John, he ended up picking me up and throwing me at a door. He's like, "Is the door trapped?" He's like, "You can't tell." He's like, "It's locked though, right?" And they're like, "It's locked." He's like, "I'm gonna throw the pig." I'm like, "Wait, don't throw me!" And I get thrown at the door. And the damage from being thrown at the door converted me back into being a person. I was like, okay. Eventually, a bunch of shit happens, and we got pacted with a bunch of demons. Yeah, I got pigged. We got pacted with a bunch of demons, and I wasn't really feeling the wizard class. That was my second ever campaign, so I just wasn't, wasn't knowledgeable enough about D&D to actually understand how to play wizard. So I was like, fuck it, I want to change my class. And he allowed me to change my class, so I changed to a ranger. Which, rangers get shit on a lot in the D community. Oh, I was a small tiefling girl as a wizard, and I got thrown at a door, so after I turned back, I was like, how? They did not throw me again. I smacked into the wall, and I was like, how dare you throw me? And he was like, what? You're not a pig anymore. I loved John, by the way. He was great. He was a hilarious guy. Great guy. I hope that guy's doing well, too. He had to move away, which is why that D&D group fell apart. And then we had to start doing D&D at a different place. And we had a whole bunch of new people coming in, and they were great. But we somehow managed to make the Konosuba party real. Except they had a little extra members. I was a ranger, and I had plans that I thought were, even to this day, I thought some of them were still pretty good. I was like, these are pretty good plans. And the only issue was with my plans is that, one, my friend wouldn't listen to me, and that in turn caused the rest of the party not to listen to me. And two, I always rolled so fucking horribly. So I was like, I'm literally like Cosmo, where I'm like, I have these plans, but the rest of my party is just fucking everything up. my friend Logan, he was the Megumin of the group, where he would do one cool thing a session, one helpful thing a session, and then be completely useless the rest of the session. I'm like, come on, man, help out. And then we had two darknesses in the group. We had our guy Bradley and our friend Scott. Scott was the chillest dude ever. He was an older fellow. Maybe I want to say at the time probably around 40, maybe around there. When we were teenagers at the time, we were like 16, 15, 16. And so, but he was a great guy. He was obviously an experienced D&D player. And so he let my friend and I, the youngins of the group, pretty much have full reign. And he was like, whatever plan you guys come up with, I'm cool with it. And he was great. And he was our front line. He would always tank. He was just great. He loves tanking for us. That's why he was the darkness. He just always got hit. And then Bradley was also the darkness because he didn't love to get hit, but he just always got like crit against. For some reason, our DM always crit against him. It was so unfortunate for that guy. And then we had our Aqua. That was God. I forgot his name, but he was a warlock guy that just did. And oh no, John was our Aqua because he's the one who got us into so much fucking trouble with a bunch of people, which he as a player isn't stupid, right? He was doing these on purpose because his character was stupid, which fair enough. But it was so funny. Like apparently I missed one session, right? I missed one session. I come back the next week. I learn that we are in a completely different area. We are no longer in the Underdark. We are above ground. And we are getting chased. We are in some random fucking dungeon. And we are getting chased by a vampire. And I'm like, what the fuck did I miss? What the hell happened? I come to learn that John stole, I think, Boots of Swiftness or something like that. Stole some shoes from a vampire, which caused that vampire to follow us. They ended up meeting a genie in the Underdark. They got 3 wishes, and John straight up goes, you know what? Let's go to Dwarf Town. And so the fucking genie teleports us above fucking ground when we're already in the Underdark. Oh, it was so unbelievably bad. And then eventually, the way John's character dies is we meet this like level 20 wizard guy who's like, I'm gonna take you back to the dark to like help you get, righted on your quest. You guys are gonna go because you guys are really fucking off the rails right now. And I was like, fair enough. John, I think, ends up trying to attack the wizard guy. He gets trapped in a cube of force, and I think he gets cubed of force and then like orbed of annihilation in the cube of force or something along those lines. It was crazy. And then I think there was another campaign we started up with those guys that was online that I didn't participate in. That my friend told me about it. He was like, "Oh, the first session was so bad. Immediately we were on a boat. It started, and then we were sailing on our boat, and we immediately fucked up everything. And where we ended is we were fighting on a sinking boat. And I was like, what happened? Oh my god! Speaking of fucking sinking boats, and my friends being the worst D&D players of all fucking time. My friend Jorge started up a One Piece D&D that I didn't get invited for because I say that with a little salt because I don't like One Piece. I don't know anything about the world of One Piece. But it's D&D. I was gonna play. He was like, I thought you wouldn't play. I'm like, it's D&D. Just because I don't like watching One Piece doesn't mean I hate everything the show's about, right? Anyway, I get it. Here's how well their One Piece campaign's going. I think they steal a boat from they like pay a guy to build a boat. They end up not paying him and then stealing his money and then killing him, stealing the boat and then running from the police or the navy or whatever it's called in that universe. And uh in the point I joined, I was this custom class that I had to, that I half made and half didn't make, where I was a fisherman, which was that was a fun class to make and a fun character to create as a concept. And I was just a fisherman out in the middle of the ocean, just living my best fishing life, just chilling. And then these guys run into, they almost ram into my boat. And then I'm like, what the hell's happening? I get jumped by this a 9 foot tall catman tries to jump into my boat and pin me down, not saying anything. So mid-air, as I see him almost colliding into me, I I grab him and throw him into the water. Eventually, my boat they do collide with my boat, and it gets fucked up, and I have to get onto their boat. And then they eventually say, I think one of them was like, "No, you're a slave. We're gonna make you a slave." And then one of them was like, "Whoa, hang on, listen, you're a boat guy. Well, how about we just take you to the nearest harbor and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine with me. I'm literally just a fisherman." And then I think we get attacked by another crew. So then I'm like, "Fuck! I'm literally just caught in the middle of this shit. Time to fight with these guys I just met." And and then eventually it would have spiraled into a bigger thing from there. But we were like having ship combat where our ship was leaving, right? They were going opposite ways. So eventually we would have like left each other. But our fucking dumbass guy who was driving the boat, Goose, oh my fucking god. He decides his move is to turn the boat and ram it right into the enemy boat. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you. So both boats end up getting fucking destroyed. And we ended the D&D session with my character desperately trying to find. Like, we ended up killing all the other guys in the boat. Both boats are destroyed and are sinking. So I'm like, fuck. We either use the pieces of one boat to fix the other, or we find out if this boat we crashed into has any other smaller boats that we can take just so that we don't drown and die. Holy shit, dude. These guys. Another D&D campaign I played in was uh one of my friends was inspired by me and from the campaign I DM'd for him, for them I should say, sorry, and by their love of a game called Granblue, and they found someone who like basically converted a bunch of Granblue stuff into D&D, and we were gonna play that, and we played one test session, and it was fun. I played my first dumb character. Dumb characters are always fun to play. She was a just a happy-go-lucky dumb girl who is a bard, and so apparently in the world of Granblue, certain characters basically have stands, like from JoJo, and all of our characters were like had those. We just didn't really know it yet. If I still might have my character's backstory. Let me double check. I forgot what I called that character. Who the fuck is Chris? Why is this Chris backstory? Oh, okay. This is one of the characters for the other campaign. Indy Stone. It wasn't Calcus. Was it Tanya? I'm trying to see. Did I not write it down? Is it this one? Tanya Gallahorn? It was Tanya. Let me just read out to you her backstory. And this will give you a sense of why I like writing. In the dead of night, in a quiet town. Here, wait. Let's get some like nice mood music, real quick. Yeah, let me try to find some good mood music. Let's see what would be good for this. Maybe something like. Let's try this one. No. No. I want something like... I want something ominous. This is good enough. Maybe two... No. No. Nah. Definitely not that one. No. Maybe this one? Sure, I'm cool with this. Sorry. Mood is important in D&D. In the dead of night, in a quiet town, where normally the only sounds one would hear at this hour were the scurrying of field mice and the buzz of lightning bugs. Those ambient sounds were now replaced by the roaring, I can't fucking read, roaring of flames and the screams of the ones the flames consumed. Tanya, once a happy girl with vibrant pink hair that, again, my obsession with pink hair has been for a long time. Vibrant pink hair that fell square to her back, now dotted with gray ash. Hazel eyes that shone with childlike wonder, the light from them now fading. Her peach skin slowly fading to a porcelain white. Memories replayed as she felt her life leaving her. Memories of her and her father out on a nearby lake. She had always got bored of fishing with him, but she loved watching her father wrestle with tangled fishing lines. Tanya remembered her mother, teaching her how to mend her clothes gently is what I meant to type, but I wrote gentler. Gently, yet stern in her method of teaching, scolding Tanya just enough not to earn any tears. Tanya had one last memory before the light faded. Hours before war was brought to her village. Tanya's father and mother had just finished reading her a story that came with a set of playing cards designed after characters? I don't know what I meant here. Yeah, we had to incorporate like a deck of tarot cards. Although one was different. It depicted an angel sounding a horn with the word judgment written in ornate letters. They then wished their 10-year-old daughter off to sleep. The next moment, she was struggling to breathe, trapped under the caved-in ceiling. Before her final moments, she heard footsteps. Her eyes drifted towards a figure. He wore a black suit. When she looked towards his face, she was met with only the bottom half of a jagged black jaw, where his ears should be, protruded ornate wings from his face that folded over to cover his eyes. Brass horns covered in dried blood. Brass horns covered in dried blood jut out of his back. 2 horns on each side of his head and one above. He spoke in a flat tone, as if it was just another day at work. Small one, you were dying. Tanya couldn't respond, as all of her energy was being used just to stay conscious. He knelt down. My powers can save you, but in return, I ask only for your memories of today. She didn't respond, but the man knew her intentions. He nodded as his figure began to melt. On Tanya's right hand, she was forever branded with the tattoo of an ornate trumpet, with 3 horns all twisted and tangled around each other like snakes fighting. After his figure was melted completely, a singular brass bulge was left amongst his ooze. The bulge was old and rusted. Oh, sorry. Wow. Bugle. My fucking dyslexia. A singular brass bugle was left amongst his ooze. The bugle was old and rusted. That was 10 years ago. Though Tanya remembers none of it. For all she knows, her parents are still out there, and instead of being pitied, she was blessed. Now, she searches, her heart filled with wonder and excitement, oblivious to reality, although she has nightmares about being trapped in a small wooden box bathed in flames. That was the first D&D character I actually wrote like a backstory for. That was like 3 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago I wrote that. I have some other characters in here that I wrote later. Let's see. Where are my other characters? Is this... No, this isn't one of my characters. No. That was one of my friend's characters. I think my character is right next to it though. Ketsuki. So this character, to give context behind it, was for a campaign that we played with some of our friends that were new to D&D. I wanted to take that like generic anime protagonist vibe of just being like a happy-go-lucky adventurer, but then I was like, and then halfway through playing it, I got a little bored, so I was like, just kill my character off and I'll write a new one. This is what I wrote. And I asked him, I was like, is it cool if I wrote it in a way that isn't from like my character's POV? And he was like, what do you mean? This is actually written more like a short story than it is like a character intro. Ketsuki, in one language or another, means blood, but for one young girl, it was the name given to her by a false prince. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Apparently, this cold-blooded killer we know was once a normal person like you and I. A drunken man began to tell tales mothers would tell their children in hopes of them growing into decent men and women. On this with this again, old man, complained a young man with steely eyes and hazel-colored hair who frequented the tavern. Honestly, this old guy finds any excuse to tell tall tales, he said after slamming his mug onto the bar top and nudging the customer next to him. The bar was nearly empty, as not many people in the area could afford the luxury of free time, let alone money to drink. There only sat an old man named Verhal, who frequently told fables many would hear as a child. A young man named Kainikos, and a hooded figure hunched over asleep. Both sat at the bar. The bartender was a young woman with hair as blue as the deep ocean, wearing a plain brown dress and a white apron named Barimiko. Oh, stop teasing him. You know how much he's lost. Barimiko responds with a voice smooth as honey. Sorry, I can't do the voices. Kainikos was putty in her hands and responded with a light grumble and returned to his drink. No, I swear, it's true. I've seen it with my own eyes, Verhal scrambled to defend himself. Don't you mean I? Kainikos said before he began to chuckle to himself. Verhal was an old man with snow-white hair, thrown about wildly with an eye patch and old leather armor. Barimiko lightly punched Kainikos in the arm in a huff. Please, continue your story, Verhal. On a day like any other, there was a family whose names have been twisted as the tale has been told, but I believe I know the true flameless names. Oh yeah? Oh yeah, sure, you crazy wind, what the hell? Kainikos began, and was quickly silenced by Barimiko, who tugged roughly on his ear. Enough with the snide remarks. Sat alone at the very edge of town was a house. The house was a wooden house, built from the surrounding area with a stone finish. It only had 3 rooms, 2 bedrooms and a dining room. Quit screwing with me, old man. How the hell do you know how many rooms it had? Spat Kainikos, as his mug was being refilled. The ruins of the house remain at the outskirt of the outskirt. Bullshit! Kainikos interrupted Verhal. Why must you always be so rude? Pouted Barimiko before she brought a tray of different dried meats to Verhal. I'm just saying, if the ruins of the house are of the famous Yukiona, why isn't it like a national monument or something? I'm losing my place because for some reason I didn't write any breaks in this, so it's all just one giant blob of text. Kainikos grumbled as he began to chug another pint. Maybe it's because of the people like you who don't believe in those things, Barimiko teased as she returned to her position behind the bar. It truly exists, and I've been there, and I have proof. Verhal reaches into one of his pouches and pulls out a small leather-bound book. What the hell is that? The Yukiona's diary? Kainikos teased. Actually, yes it is, Verhal replied, his tone going from that of a raving lunatic to a somber tone one would hear from a rookie adventurer whose party was wiped as he dropped the diary with a plop. Kainikos froze. Hey, you can't be serious. The 2 other people in the room were now fully invested in the story Verhal was telling, and the hooded figure stirred in its slumber. In this house lived your average family, a man and his wife, and a daughter, according to this. Verhal gestured towards the diary. The man and his wife... the father's name was James, the mother's name was Amber, and the child's Emma. I have to get reacquainted with this. I haven't read this shit in years. The Hart family lived an average life. Emma's father was a woodcutter and sold lumber to our town. Emma's mother was bedridden since Emma was born. Emma tried playing with the other children in town, but was made fun of for her family situation. Once Emma was 8, her father's business was in ruin, and her mother's situation had only gotten worse. They would only have one meal a day, and it was stale bread the baker would give James after he couldn't be sold. Then, a year later, on Emma's 9th birthday, her mother died, and what little money they had left as her father drank himself to a stupor any chance he got. To protect his child, he locked little Emma in her room. No amount of wailing or pleading would change his mind. Emma would spend a year of her life trapped, being fed through a slot her father fashioned in the door when James would remember she existed at all. Dirty, forgotten, and left to rot, she laid to die clutching a red faded bow her mother gave her, the only nice thing she had ever received. Her eyelids grew heavy as malnourishment racked her body, and she grew cold. But instead of whatever afterlife she was greeted by her prince. Upon hearing this revelation, Kanikos choked on the last of his beer. Full continued. He apparently offered her a new life, one promising of a warm bed and companionship, and she agreed. And when she did, our prince faded into darkness. His laugh echoed. She could feel it reverberate in her ribcage. When she awoke, she was covered in something warm and crimson. Her father laid crumpled on the floor. She knew what it was, but her mind refused to process what it was. She slowly felt her will become not her own. Voices urged her to silence those who would dare oppose her savior. Well, that was sure some story, old man, but nothing will stop my sword from meeting his neck, Kainiko said triumphantly as he stood up, unsheathing his sword. The cloaked figure stood in a flash, the sounds of the stool scraping against the hardwood floor and red liquid began to spill from Kainikos' neck. Baramiko screamed, and the old man Verhal froze. The hood of the cloak removed and revealed the blood-red eyes of the Yukiona, as it stared hard at the old man as he quickly tried to run, and was just as quickly pierced by a crimson blade. Baramiko dared not look for fear of any misstep would lead to her death. She heard the sound of his body hitting the floor, which caused her to let out a small yelp. The Yukiona quickly turned her cherry blossom... Yeah, see, again with the pink hair. Her cherry blossom hair whipping around. I don't know what is with me in the color pink and with hair, but hey. And began to pull a blade out of an open wound on her arm. The red iris of her eyes began to turn back into a soft brown as she quickly reached for a mask she had attached to her face. Her heavy breathing began to calm as the color drained from her eyes. She let the blade lose its form, and it dripped through her fingers. She walked nonchalantly toward the exit, picking up the leather-bound book, leafing through it as she chuckled to herself before dropping it back on the table with a plop. She then reached into the satchel attached to her belt. Baramiko flinched at the action, but instead of seeing the silver gleam of steel, she saw the light reflection of a gold coin. Emma flipped the gold coin and it landed in Kainikos' empty mug. "Thanks for the drink," Emma said before exiting the bar. That was my character. To give a little bit of backstory behind that for that campaign, it was all about like gods and eventually we'd have to go and kill a bunch of gods, and the main big bad evil god was basically a trickster god, and that god is what gave my new character, what did I call her? Ketsuki, her powers over like a blood manipulation, but it came at a caveat where basically she had blood frenzied and was basically being mind controlled to pretty much murder everyone. She, in the brief like instances of sobriety she had, she ended up creating a machine that was a mask that basically pumped blood directly into her so that she wouldn't go crazy with bloodlust. And then I think I had another one. Here's one. Calcus Still Hunts. This is for the most recent D&D campaign I've played. That was fun. My friend wants to start it back up, but again, they're beefing with each other, so I don't know if they really can. So this is about Calcus Still Hunt. From a young age, Calcus knew there was a divide in the world. Again, you're gonna see themes between these characters that I didn't notice until now for some reason. I don't know why these themes persist, but hey. Strength is the only constant. Those who are physically, mentally, or magically strong rule. What? Oh, thank you. I like. I did see a lot wrong with my past writing, but again, that was also like 2 or 3 years ago. This one's more recent. I think this one's only a year old at this point for Calcus. Another meme that was implanted in her during childhood was the strength. Wait. Yeah. Okay, so I'm using meme as in the because I think I wrote this right after playing. What is that game called? Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Hang on, I'm gonna order some food real quick. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. And I had to look up the term meme because I was like, there's no way meme is like a real thing, and a meme is like something that's basically drilled into like a belief, basically. That's basically what a meme is, a belief that's spread through whatever I forgot already. Anyway, let me order this food and we'll probably read my last two characters because I know I have two more. I mean, I have this one and then another one. Solid game, by the way. What's a solid game? You talking about the OST the game's from? Or Revengeance. I'm stupid. You probably meant that. Okay, cool. Food's coming. Yeah. It took a second to click. Look, when my brain fires through 8 topics all at once, it's hard. Okay, anyway, like I said, we're gonna see themes throughout these characters. I don't know why these themes persist, but here they are. From a young age, Calgus knew there was a divide in the world. Strength is the only constant. Those who are physically, mentally, or magically strong rule. Another meme that was implanted in her during childhood was that strength is like a tree. It may start off just a small sapling, but with enough time and resources, it can grow tall and mighty. Uspos, although now in a time of peace, was always ready for war. To them, it wasn't an option, it is inevitable, and they will be ready. At the age of 10, Calcus and her younger sister Ruta were orphaned. She couldn't remember if her parents had died or just abandoned them, but it made little difference. She and her little sister both revered the warriors. She begged the local barracks to train them. All the soldiers always said that they were too young. For a year, Calcus and her sister lived on the street outside. Through the heat of summer and the frost of winter, they ate whatever scraps they could. Eventually, a man named Godwin decided they proved worthy and began to train them. For 4 years, they lived in the barracks. Ruta, who had long green hair that fell to the small of her back, was now 11, was made to do any chore the barracks needed to be done and quickly became a surrogate daughter of the barracks. The warriors liked to dress her like a doll. She usually wore a bardsmaid dress. The cleanliness of her porcelain skin made the doll analogy almost seem real. Calcus, who was now 15, envied her sister. While she sat in the barracks, Calcus was made to endure the torment of training. She wore drab brown cloth that was usually stained with her own blood. She'd always come home covered in bruises on a good day, and on a bad day she'd have broken an arm, but she was still expected to show up to practice at dawn the next day. One day, Calcus was made to stay late for training. She had spoken out against her instructor and was forced to endure the weight of 5 large cut stones atop her chest. They told her once she had the strength to move them, she was allowed to leave, and if she didn't, then she would be crushed. She eventually heaved the last stone off her, panting hard. Every breath felt like daggers played against her ribcage. Her emerald eyes regained life as she began to stand. She stumbled her way home in the dark of night. Slamming open the barracks door, she wasn't greeted by her smiling sister, but by a very familiar stench of death and decay. She cautiously wandered into the room and saw Godwin sat in his chair. His throat was slit, and his warmth poured out, staining his tunic. He wasn't even given a warrior's death. Instead, the man who saved her was shamed. Calcus was tackled to the ground, her arms pinned behind her back and chest to the floor. "Get off me! Let go!" she shouted. "Hey, she'll fetch a high price, huh?" the man called out. She continued to struggle against her captors. I'm sure no one would mind if I sampled the goods, one of them sneered as they tied her hands. She just flipped her back and saw two men dressed in black leathers. One stood by the door and looked annoyed. The other straddled her. The annoyed one spoke. Fine, but make it quick. At those words, the man on her quickly began to disrobe her. As she started to scream, a hand tried to shut her up. She took one of the man's fingers into her mouth and bit down as hard as she could. The man shouted in pain and reeled back as he stood and gripped his now bleeding hand. That little bitch bit my finger off, he shouted. The other man only chuckled in response. Calculus tried to stand, but without the use of her arms, this task proved difficult. She was eventually pulled up by her hair and just as swiftly punched in the stomach. They then tied a blindfold on her and dragged her kicking and screaming. Eventually, the rebellion ceased, and her final thought before she lost consciousness was of her sister, and she hoped she didn't share the same fate. God, this D&D character story was 3 pages long. I'm so sad this character is never going to be played again. For 5 years, she was kept as a slave. Due to her violent tendencies, no one was willing to buy her, and the ones that took her eventually stopped trying to use her to relieve their sexual frustrations. Instead, they just used her as a punching bag. Her cell was filled with scratch marks. They were tallies, one for every day. She was kept there. I don't know why I said that all weird. The years of abuse put her body through wear and tear. Her skin was rough. Her once vibrant green eyes were darkened, and she was now marked on the back of her neck. She was now marked, and the back of her neck was branded with what looked like a trident facing downward, and the 2 outer prongs were pointed toward the center, and below it a small dot, the symbol of the hanged man, now burned forever into her skin. Look, man, I don't know what I was on when I wrote this. One day she was let out and brought to the office, where a man with fancy black suit greeted her, along with the boss of the hanged man. Hello, young lady. I am Ouroboros, the man in the suit said as he approached. Fair warning, she'll bite, Wolnir said. Ouroboros examined her as he walked around in a circle. She seems used, he said. Well, the boys like to use her as a practice dummy, Wolnir chuckled. Sadly, I was in the market for something fresher. Well, if this is all you have, it seems our business here is concluded, Ouroboros said. He began to walk out. Before exiting, he grabbed Calcus by her arm and spoke softly. Find me when you get free, he said, slipping something into her hands. She quickly hid it before she was dragged back to her cell. Instead of just leaving her, they handcuffed her. The cuffs were chained to the floor with a long iron chain. They only did this before the beatings began. As she waited for her assailer, an unfamiliar voice echoed in her head. Child of light, accept the blessing of your savior, and I never updated this with the actual God's name. I just put insert God here will answer your prayers. The door lurched open as an annoyed man stepped in. Calcus cackled in response. There are no gods in these lands. Men have evolved past the need for such things. All we need is an opportunity and the strength to take it, she shouted. She pulled on her cuffs. The pull on her cuffs and rough edges peeling away a layer of her skin. The blood that spilled from her wrist lubricated the rest of her hands as she pulled. I'm adding words. Jesus. She pulled from a fold tucked beneath her crude clothes a dagger's blade. She quickly stabbed the man's gut. Without the handle, the blade proved difficult to grip. She shoved the man onto the floor and straddled him. The man tried to fight back, but the woman, fueled by pure rage, overpowered him. She began to choke him in retaliation. The man shoved his thumb through her eye. Calcus tried to fight through the pain, but it proved too much, as blood leaked from where her eye once was. She let go of his neck to pull his thumb back until a soft crunch was heard as his thumb met the back of his hand. She then proceeded to punch the man until her knuckles were black and blue as he stopped breathing. Taking a moment to catch her breath, she heard footsteps approaching her. She gathered anything she could from the man and readied herself. She didn't know how, but eventually she found herself outside. The cool air nipped at her wounds. The adrenaline left her body as she collapsed. This was how she died. At least it was close to a warrior's death. Then that same voice that called to her, "Oh, I can't have you dying before I can convert you." When she awoke, she was disappointed to find she was alive. She stood and began to walk aimlessly, but felt a strange weight on her waist. She looked back and saw a long, poofy green tail as she quickly ran towards any reflective surface she could find. In an abandoned shield, she saw through the one eye she now had, small round ears that poked through her hair. She quickly shrouded herself in a stolen hanged man cloak. Eventually, she found Ouroboros. Wasn't easy, but that is a tale for another time. Well, Calchas, I'm glad to see you've made your way to me. How do you know who I am? All in due time, for now I have an important task for you. I need you to stop a war from breaking out. Isn't war good for you urchins? Sticks and stones, Calchas, but yes, normally you would be right. But if Uspos is allowed to expand once more, unchecked, then the slave business burns in the leftover rubble, he explained. If that's all you need me for, just kill me now. The drow sighed. Well, that's unfortunate. I guess I'll just have to inform Ruta that her big sister doomed her to this fate. She slammed her hands onto the desk. You know where my sister is, she shouted. Yes, and she's safe, and it will stay that way as long as you help me. I scratch your back and you scratch mine. Fine, she agreed. And that was Calchas Stillhunt. She was cool. I was like a death cleric. I remember I exploded 2 people. That was pretty fun. I guess my other character is on my other account. Hang on. Yeah! Shuzu Vermilion. This one I got really weird with. So, I provided an actual story. Where is it? Yes, here. It's called... Okay, it's barely a story. A lot of it was... I don't think I ever finished it. At least it doesn't seem finished. No, this sounds finished. Okay, so this one was really weird. My friend came up with his whole own homebrew world that he was deciding to put into D&D. And... What? Like, it was so weird and jokey. Like, they literally had an area called, like, Sus Mungus or something like that. And, like, the ruler of that village was Markiplier, and it was really jokey and goofy campaign. So my character was a mute woman that was from a circus. From a traveling circus that would be traveling between kingdom and kingdom, and eventually along the way it was attacked and it was burned down and like destroyed. She's the only survivor, so a lot of law enforcement believes her to be the culprit, and she is trying to find whoever actually did burn her circus to the ground and bring them to justice. So here's the first thing I wrote, which is called, Did you hear about the circus fire? It was intense. Another file landed on my desk with a plap. This one's a doozy, Jules said, sitting across from me. I've known him since my cadet days. I tried to write it like a noir style thing. I don't think it worked out too well. Try me, I said. So, get this. Ever hear of the Soul Circus, he asked. You're kidding me. My daughter won't stop yapping about it, I responded. Well, she might never get to go, he said. What do you mean? He simply pointed toward the file. Curious, I opened up the file and began to read aloud. Soul Circus Caravan has been found in the forest between Symphonia City and Scythe City. The site was scorched, and everybody we've found in the rubble have been churned to charcoal. The only person unaccounted for is one Shizu Vermilion. She is believed to be around her 20s with blonde hair and a fair complexion. Seeing as how she's the only survivor, we've deemed her the arsonist. I finished, plopping the file back down. We're working with the guys from Symphony City to track her down, Jules said. I paused for a moment and thought, but what reason does she have to burn it all down? What do you mean? He asked. Well, why not just pack up and leave? Bring me everything we have on the circus itself, as well as Shizu. A moment later, I studied the evidence we gathered. Pages upon pages of tax forms, permits, and travel visas until we found something interesting. Apparently, the circus dealt in some underground trades, mainly weapons and human trafficking. The more we looked into it, the more Shizu felt like a victim of circumstance. There you go. I even forgot my character's backstory. She was human trafficked. The weapons were recovered. Weapons we've recovered all seem to be terribly made on purpose. We got swords that got stuck in their sheaths, a cleaver that flies off its handle, and an axe that randomly extends, so maybe someone wanted their money back. After some digging, we finally managed to dig up some files on Shizu. Turns out her parents were killed at a young age. They were being robbed, and her father's bow snapped in half. Must have been from the circus. She's got blonde hair and gold eyes. When we first picked her up, she was about 5 years old. By now, she would have been in her 20s. She's slender and pale. as if she was malnourished. I don't think she's behind this, but I have to find out who is, and we have to find her first. So that's was my noir style writing. And then I even went above and beyond that with this world building thing. I even created a wanted poster. I asked my friend, I was like, hey, what fucking... The problem is I can't read it because it's in a font that is fucking hard with my goddamn, there we go. It was fucking hard with my dyslexia. So it's a wanted poster, and it just says, Wanted, alive. The individual known as Shizu Vermilion is wanted for questioning about the destruction of the Soul Circus. The caravan was destroyed while it was en route to Side City from Symphony City. The caravan seemed to be razed to the ground. As she is the only body unaccounted for, please inform the Side City custodians or the Symphony City Fermata. We are willing to provide compensation for any information you can provide. Signed, Luis Adolfo Lebeau. That D&D character, I actually never got to play, which is super sad. I never got to play this character, Shizu Vermilion. And I think that's every D&D character I've created. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. What is this? Oh, okay. This. Sorry. This is my friend's writing that he wanted me to read. So yeah, I like writing. Like I said, I do have fanfics posted on that website, Archive of Our Own. Will I ever let chat know what my username on that is? Probably not. I don't think I'm great at writing, but I don't think I'm bad at writing either. I had a bunch of different... Wow. Just looking through this, I have a bunch of different fucking writing ideas that like never really went anywhere. Well, I should say I never finished them. Like I have one about like... Which one's this one? Oh god, that was so long ago. That one was writing in high school. I had one my friend and I workshopped together, but we workshopped the lore together and I actually started writing it. That one was cool. I should post that just somewhere. Anyway, I ordered food. I know I didn't actually end up writing any D&D stuff. Well, I did. Not a lot, but I did. More than I would have gotten done alone, I will tell you that. But honestly, at this point, it's 9:30 over here almost. I think that's a good place to call it. Expect more streams like this though, chat, if you like that or not. Expect more like this. Of me just yapping while I'm writing stuff. Mainly D&D. I don't know if I'm ever gonna write any of my other stories on stream. It's probably just gonna be D&D stuff. Anyway. Thanks chat for joining. Short 2-hour stream. That's usually about how my streams are. Like I said, I can't give you a certified yes, it's going to happen tomorrow, or no, it's not going to happen tomorrow. Because I honestly don't know. It depends on whether or not my friends are like, hop on the game. So, if none of my friends tell me to hop on any games, there'll most likely be a stream. So, I will see you some other time, chat. Adios!